Alright guys, what's going on? It's Carnage Defense bringing you another video today, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the top 5 things you need to know before buying a red dot. Now as far as red dots goes, there is a lot of things to consider before buying one, so that's why I'm making a top 5 list, because I think these are the 5 most important things to consider before buying a red dot. And I'll show you some red dots that I have right now. This is my Springfield Echelon with the Holosun 507C on it. This is my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 with the Holosun 407K on it. This is my Hellcat Pro with the Holosun 507K on it. This is my SIG P365X Macro Comp with the Vortex Defender CCW on it. And then this is my budget Glock build with a Siley Wolf Zero on it. Real quick, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support that I've been getting lately. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I am so close to 500 subscribers, and it would mean the world to me if you would support my channel. Thank you guys again for everything. I greatly appreciate it. Let's get back to the video. Alright, so the first one that I'm going to talk about, and mind you, this is in no particular order. The first one that I'm going to talk about is use. Now, when I'm talking about use, I'm talking about, are you looking for a duty pistol? Are you looking for an everyday carry? Is this going to be just a range toy? Is this just a fun gun to shoot that you don't really care a whole lot about? What is the use of your firearm? Like me personally, this is my budget-friendly Glock, and I bought a budget-friendly optic for it. This is the Siley Wolf Zero that I bought on Amazon for $108, and it is a very cheap optic. This was a very cheap build, and I wanted an optic that was kind of in that price range. Now, that is a gun that I'm not going to be carrying. That is specifically a range toy, but what I do carry is the Hellcat Pro with the Holosun 507K on it. And for me personally, I have had nothing but good experience with Holosun. They seem to be very reliable, very good battery life, very clear dot. It is a very, very good quality optic for the price. They're kind of like a mid-tier optic. So for me, I carry a Holosun. I was also giving the Vortex Defender CCW a chance to be carried. However, I am not a huge fan of this optic anymore, so I am personally not going to be carrying this. But as far as a decent quality optic goes, this really isn't that bad. I just won't be carrying this one. And then in the past, I've also had a Crimson Trace optic, which I don't really recommend. That didn't really live that long. I also have a Swamp Fox optic that's not currently with me. That one I haven't had any issues with. And then this gun right here would be more of like a duty gun. So again, I have another Holosun on it since Holosuns have always treated me really well. This is the Holosun 507C. So basically what I'm trying to say is whatever the purpose of your firearm is, you need an optic to match that purpose that you trust. So if you're a police officer, if you're in the military, or if you're a firearms instructor, obviously you're going to want a very reliable optic. And at that point, I would recommend Holosun at the very least. That'd probably be the lowest tier I would go. From there, you're going to be looking at brands more like Reticle, Aimpoint, stuff like that. The second thing that I want to talk about is brand. What I'm referring to when I say that is brand reputation, warranty, location, and return policy. Why do those things matter? So brand location, where the optic is built. Brand warranty, how long of a warranty does the optic have? Is it lifetime? Is it 1 year, 2 year, 30 days? You know, that is important to know. Return policy, is it going to be an optic where if you're not satisfied with it, you can return it at any point? Is it only going to be a 30-day return policy, 90-day, or even a no return policy at all? That's kind of a red flag if you're not allowed to return your optic if you don't like it. Reputation, is this optic a good quality optic? Does the military use it? Does a large amount of people use it? And is it a reliable optic by all of those people? Also a very important thing. Some Chinese products are good, some aren't. The only way you're going to know if they are or aren't are by the reputation of the brand. As far as brands goes, there are so many brands of red dot optics out there. It is just absolutely insane. So kind of sifting through the good brands and bad brands is kind of difficult, and I get that. Just try to stick with a company that you've heard about and that has always had a good reputation for the most part. No one is ever going to have a perfect product every time. There are going to be bad batches, but the overall experience needs to be good. So I would look at brands like Holosun at a bare minimum, Vortex, SIG, Reticle, Aimpoint. Brands like that are going to be very, very good quality. There's also lower tier brands that are also good quality. You have Swamp Fox, you have Primary Arms, you have so many optic brands out there. When you're looking at a brand, you need to make sure that it is going to be a good quality product, and people need to report that, yes, this is a good product. So in my opinion, knowing the brand, knowing what they stand for, knowing their return, their warranty, where they're located, all that is very important. The third most important thing is reliability. Now, in my opinion, what determines if an optic is reliable is if it is reported to be reliable by a large amount of people. So, like Holosun, for an example. Yes, it is a Chinese-based company, but the general amount of people that have bought a Holosun has enjoyed their product, tested it, and not experienced any issues. For the ones that have experienced issues, Holosun has typically taken care of them. There are obviously some clauses in their warranty that, they're not going to replace it if you run it over or if you throw it or stuff like that. But as far as reliability goes, it tends to be a very reliable optic. Not to mention, a lot of law enforcement agencies use Holosun and they back Holosun entirely. And then the other thing is optics that have a military contract. Obviously, if the military pays for something, they are not going to send their troops overseas with an optic or a gun that is going to break on the first day that they're overseas. They're going to buy a good quality and reliable product, hopefully. So if you're going to be buying an optic for EDC, duty, military use, whatever, it has to be a reliable optic that you're willing to bet your life on. You do not want to bet your life on a $100 Amazon optic. Unless you do, but that's on you. I would rather spend an additional $200 to $300 to $400 to bet my life on an optic. And in some people's budget, you can't do that, and that's perfectly fine. What I'm saying is that depending on your use, you need to spend a little bit more money on your optic. So reliability is very, very important. The fourth thing that I would consider to be important is the reticle. Now, as far as reticles go, there are so many different dot styles and colors to choose from. It's basically personal preference, but be sure to pick out the one that fits you the best. So there are so many different styles of dots. You have your regular dot, you have your circle dot, which is a dot in the center and a 32 MOA circle around it, like what EOTech uses. You have your chevron, which is a V. You have all sorts of different styles as far as that goes. And then on top of that, you also have reticle colors. You have red, green, blue, gold, purple. There are so many different colors of reticles. It is insane. So whatever you get, make sure that you are happy with what you get and that it fits what your purpose is. Reticles are very important. Do not sleep on that. Just because everybody else buys a red dot doesn't mean that your eyes will like a red dot. All right, when I was going back to edit this video, I realized I made a mistake about not mentioning the reticle size of a red dot. This is a very important part when you are picking out a red dot. Typically, they give you MOA sizes anywhere from 1 to 6 MOA, and some of them are even bigger. Typically, what that means is that the smaller the MOA size, the smaller the dot will be that you will see. Just so I can show you guys the difference, a 2 MOA dot at 100 yards is the size of this Tylenol cap. A 6 MOA dot at 100 yards is the size of this bowl. There is quite a big difference there. So MOA size does matter, especially when you're shooting at distance. Now, anything within 25 yards, the size difference is not that different. So for an EDC setup, a lot of people like running bigger dots because you can see them faster. But ultimately what it comes down to is your training. As long as you train with your dot, practice your draws, finding that dot will not be an issue for you. If anything, it will be natural. So for me personally, I originally carried the Holosun 407K, and this dot is a 6 MOA dot. And I really liked that size because I could find it quickly, but I realized when I was shooting at distance, the dot was taking up much more of the target, that it made it a little bit more difficult to hit the target for me personally. I went from a 407K to a 507K, and the 507K has a 2 MOA dot, and I realized that shooting out at farther distances made a world of a difference. So when you're picking out your reticle size, it is important to take all things into consideration, whether it be shooting within 25 yards, shooting out to 100 yards. And then the other thing is that if it has the 32 MOA circle around it, that way you know roughly where all of your shots are going to be landing. If you're within 7 yards, that 32 MOA will be in the A zone of where you want it to be. As long as that is there, you know your shots are going to be hitting dead center of that. So there is a whole lot of things to consider as far as that goes, but ultimately the decision is up to you on what you want to carry. Like I said, I now carry a 2 MOA dot, but previously I carried a 6 MOA dot. So again, it's personal preference, but reticle size is very important. All right, I'm going to go back to editing. Enjoy the video. And then the fifth most important thing is the footprint. This is one that not a lot of people talk about. It should be very well known, but it's really not. The optic footprint is one of the most important things to know before you buy an optic. This Holosun optic right here mounted on my Hellcat Pro, requires a plate. This Holosun does not direct mount to this Hellcat Pro. It requires an adapter plate. Why? Because Holosun has a modified RMSC footprint when the Springfield Hellcat Pro has a regular RMSC footprint. Basically, the design of it is just a little bit off, and you need an adapter plate to make it work. It's stupid, but it is what it is. You can mill this to fit directly if you wanted to, or you could just buy the adapter plate. I personally bought the adapter plate because I didn't want to go spend another $100, $150 to mill my slide and then re-Cerakote it. This is a downside. Had I bought an optic that was specifically RMSC, not modified, nothing like that, like what Holosun does, it would have direct mounted, and I probably would have the co-witness option, but I don't. So that is a downside to the Holosun in this instance. Some Holosuns direct mount to some guns, some don't. Now, with that said, this Holosun 507K will not mount on this Glock that I have. This Glock is an RMR footprint. The RMR footprint is wider and longer, and it has a little bit different screw points than the RMSC does. So this optic is overall larger than the Holosun 507K. So you need to know what footprint your gun has. There are so many different footprint styles, it is insane. So if your gun is an RMR footprint, you need to go find an RMR optic. Now, if you bought a gun like the Springfield Echelon, the mounting system on it, will mount like 40 different optic styles. Yes, there are like that many optic styles. It is insane. The Springfield Echelon will mount any optic that you want to put on it. On here, I have the Holosun 507C on it. Now notice how there's a 507C and a 507K. Also very important to know, the 507K is an RMSC footprint. The 507C is an RMR footprint. So basically, both of these guns, my Echelon and my Glock, have the same optic on it. Though the optics are different brands, they're the same footprint. The Echelon and the Glock, since they both can mount an RMR optic, they have the same footprint. It is a very important thing to know when you're buying an optic that whatever gun you're putting it on, it needs to have that footprint that you're looking for. I know people who have bought an optic for a gun, went to mount it on the gun, and it didn't fit because it was the wrong footprint. So you just spent $300, $400 on an optic and it doesn't even fit your gun. Now you have to send it back and get a new one and hope that it fits because you didn't do your research. So the footprint is the make or break to if an optic fits on your gun or not. I cannot stress that enough. So that is 5 things you need to know before you buy an optic. All of these are very important. I hope you watched all the way through because if you did, hopefully you're a little bit more knowledgeable on optics, on what you need, buy, or want. So this list wasn't really in any specific order. This is just 5 things that I think are the most important when you're choosing an optic. For a lot of people, spending $200, $300, $400, $500 on an optic is a lot of money, me included. That's why I buy budget optics sometimes, and that's why I don't own a Trijicon or Aimpoint because it's out of my price range. When you're looking for an optic that you're betting your life on, you need to know the quality of the optic. You need to know the brand reliability. You need to know that it's durable. You need to know everything about that optic before you buy it. That way you're never getting let down. Also, here's a little tip if you do buy an optic. I don't care how long the battery is rated for. Don't test it. Replace the battery every year. Replace the battery every 1 to 2 years depending on the brightness setting that you leave your optic. Also, in terms of tech, look for Shake Awake. It is so nice not to have to manually turn on your optic. It is so nice to just pick up the optic and the dot is on waiting for you. The ones that run all day, those are fine. I like the ones that turn off and on when you pick them up or set them down. So you set the gun down, optic turns off after 10 minutes, and that's good. That's saving battery. Next time you go to pick up the gun, the dot turns on automatically. That is a game changer. And obviously, when you're looking for a red dot, it is very important to find one that co-witnesses with your iron sights. This wasn't in my top 5 things that I prioritized because for a lot of people, they don't find dots that co-witness. Some of my guns don't co-witness, and it is what it is. The nice thing about iron sights is you can change them out with other ones, so it's not a end-all be-all. I would rather prioritize optic quality and then update the iron sights later once you have a little bit of extra finances. So that's why it didn't really make the list, but if you can, find something that will co-witness with your gun. This is a lot of information in this video. I apologize, but it is important things to know, and I really hope that you make a good decision on the optic that you're buying. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. Obviously, I am not a professional. I do not know everything. I will never know everything. So I will help you as much as I can. But if I don't know, I'll tell you straight up. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. It's Carnage Defense. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.